Well, a lot of those highlights certainly on the offensive side, and the reason for optimism continuing this year. 6 offensive starters returning of the 14 returning starters on this group. 4 on the defensive side as well from last year's team that finished tied 5th in league play, 4 and 5 overall, 5 and 6 in conference play. A test early on September 3rd against Coastal Carolina before that group moves on to the Sun Belt next year. And then, of course, in conference play on September 17th, a test against the Bearcats to open up Southland play against Sam Houston State. You saw that notable mark in that he's sitting right next to me. Kade Harrington, your player of the year in the Southland Conference, back for his senior campaign. Meanwhile, his offensive lineman from Silsbee, Texas, Bret Treadway, out there on the end where he'll be most of the offensive season as well, blocking for Kade. Let me start off early on, Kade. I know you're the kind of guy who wants to focus on what is coming up as opposed to what has already happened, but 2,000 yards, you set a Southland record by about 400 yards easily, surpassing the old mark. What worked last year for you?
I just think it was my 3rd season. We had a pretty old offensive line. We had Bret, who's been there since my freshman year as well, was able to step up and be a leader and put together a great offensive line. We had great receivers on the outside blocking. There's a bunch of pieces that came together, and we're really excited to see where that leads into this season.
Has it been explained to Carson Earp, the new quarterback for Lamar, yet how you like to be handed the football?
No, with him, he does a really good job of commanding our offense. He has a really good grasp of it. He knows exactly what to do. He rarely ever makes any crucial mistakes. He's a heck of a football player, and I'm really excited to see what he can do September 3rd.
Bret, preseason all-conference selection, congratulations. Your story, it hasn't been an easy one. 5 surgeries in your playing career coming into this year's senior campaign, including one recently just for some scar tissue removal on your hip. What has that constant battle been like, and how are you looking coming into this final fall?
It's been grueling. It seems like every year in March or April, I get a surgery. I'm out for 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months. And last year, I was released probably 2 weeks before camp started. So it's just hard working back for it, but I do it every year. And I'm ready this year.
Bret, I was asking you before we came on camera here, favorite memory of this young man running behind you. I'll let you share that with everybody tuning in.
Yeah, last year we were playing Sam Houston. I was sweep to the outside, and me and the center, Matt Ubry, our feet got tangled up, and his cleat got hung up in my shoestrings, and we both fell to the ground, and we got up, started arguing with each other. We didn't block anyone on the play, and we look up, and Kade's running 50 yards down the field, and we seen probably, there's 10 people on the line, defensive line, offensive line. No one blocked that play, and Kade just made magic happen.
Kade, more often than not, able to find the successful recipe for his head coach, Ray Woodard and company. Meanwhile, my understanding is a lot of folks sending mail the way of Coach Woodard, especially if they're about a 5'5 tailback, thinking they might be the next Kade Harrington after this year. To confirm or deny, he's with our Kamady Rudd.
You can't really blame him for trying. You've obviously worked wonders with Kade. Now, I have to ask you about him. You see Kade, and you think, looks like a solid kid, a nice kid, but wow, FCS Player of the Year. I mean, you just can't really get any better than that. Can you kind of tell us what you think makes him so effective?
Well, I think I got the best ringer in college football. Like you said, walking through the door, you may not think he's the player that he is. It's a combination of a lot of things. He has great speed and vision, but he has great balance, and he's a very good athlete. I saw that when he was playing other sports off the field. And he's got, that chip on his shoulder, being not the tallest guy on the field. He carries that well, and he's got a great disposition. He comes across as mild-mannered, but he doesn't play that way. He's an aggressive player and just an outstanding young man.
Now, because he is such a strong point of your offense, can you kind of talk about what that opens up around him, and maybe are you going to try to utilize that a little more this season?
Well, yeah, I mean, you have teams come in focusing on stopping Kade, and what that'll do, that'll open up other things. Our quarterback is always a big runner in our offense, and it opens up some big plays in the passing game as well, and we'll take advantage of that. But Kade's going to get his opportunities again, I promise you.
Of course, I hope he does. Yeah. And we heard Lincoln say earlier, you'll be tested early. Coastal Carolina right out of the gate. What do you look for in a game like that, and what do you want to take from it moving forward?
Well, we know Sam Houston coming in the third game, our opening conference ball game. They're ranked number 2 in the nation, and they'll be still ranked that when they come in. we got to be ready to play those guys. These first 2 games will do that for us. Coastal Carolina has been a playoff team at the FCS level the last 5 years, and they're transitioning up to FBS next year. What a great opening game to prepare. And then Houston is coming off arguably the best season they've had in the history of their school, 13-1, and they play OU the first week, and if they were to beat OU in Norman, they may be a top 5 team. So if you got to play good teams to get ready to play Sam, then we're doing that, because we'll have 2 very good teams to play in order to get us ready for, not just Sam Houston. This is a tough league from top to bottom, but we know Sam Houston's at the top right now.
You said it, a very competitive league, and we look to forward to see how you do this season. Right. Lincoln, back to you.
One final season to see last year's American Sports Network FCS Player of the Year, Kade Harrington, try to run wild against Southland Conference defenses. Also a finalist for the Stats Player of the Year.